Out of nowhere, they were gone, without warning, without time for goodbye. In just 6 months, Korea lost artists who marked generations, some veterans, others too young to leave, but all left a huge void in the industry. In this video, we remember the 7 most remarkable names who passed away in 2025 and the devastating impact their deaths caused. Prepare your heart, this list will move you. The death of Kim Se-ron, announced on February 16, 2025, deeply shook the Korean entertainment industry. At only 24 years old, the actress was found lifeless in her apartment in Seoul. The official cause was not disclosed, but local media and sources close to her pointed to a long and silent battle with mental health, aggravated by years of isolation and professional difficulties. Se-ron was a rare talent. She debuted on screens at just 9 years old in the film A New Life, but it was her moving performance alongside Won Bin in The Man from Nowhere that established her as one of the greatest promises of Korean cinema. Throughout her adolescence, she shined in various dramas and films, such as The Great Shaman Gadu Shim, The Witch's Mirror, and The Bloodhounds, a Netflix production that would mark one of the last great appearances of her career. Despite her talent, her personal life became the subject of controversy after a case of driving under the influence of alcohol in 2022. The scandal caused her withdrawal from the industry and a kind of undeclared cancellation. Without new roles and facing media rejection, Se-ron spent her last years in relative silence, away from cameras and by all accounts struggling to emotionally recover. Her death caused immediate commotion. Celebrities, directors, fans, and critics lamented what was seen as a collective failure, the loss of a promising young woman who didn't receive sufficient support. For many, she represented not only youthful talent, but also the dark side of early fame and implacable public judgment. Kim Se-ron left us too early, and her absence now weighs like an open wound in the heart of Korean culture. Choi Wisung was found dead on March 10, 2025, in his apartment at 43 years old. His death was sudden, and although the official cause was not immediately disclosed, the news generated shock and sadness both among fans and within the music industry. Wisung was more than a singer. He was a voice that marked a generation, and his absence resonated like a painful silence. Since the 2000s, he had been considered one of the greatest references of South Korean R&B. Owner of a powerful timbre and refined technique, Wisung conquered the public's heart with songs that moved millions. He was responsible for romantic ballads that became soundtracks to remarkable dramas, such as For You from It's Okay, That's Love, and Trail of Tears from the Moon That Embraces the Sun. Besides being a singer, he also worked as a producer and composer, having collaborated with big names like Ailey, Gummy, and Yun Hee. His musical mastery was complete, from creation to interpretation. However, his career was marked by ups and downs. Scandals involving the use of illegal substances tarnished his image and resulted in prolonged withdrawals from the media, directly affecting his mental health and his relationship with the industry. Even so, his talent was never questioned. For many, he was the soundtrack of old loves, of painful goodbyes, of lonely nights accompanied by headphones. His death awakened discussions about the emotional abandonment that artists face when aging or falling into public disgrace. Wisung left silently, but left a deep echo, the kind of mark that only great artists can leave. Veteran actress Lee Juil passed away on February 2, 2025 at 80 years old after suffering cardiac arrest. The news was confirmed by her family a few hours later and quickly took over the headlines. Lee had already faced a long battle against breast cancer for 13 years, from which she emerged victorious. However, in November 2024, she was diagnosed with advanced stage stomach cancer, which spread rapidly and seriously compromised her health. Lee Juil was one of the most respected names in Korean dramaturgy. With a career that crossed generations, her presence was synonymous with seriousness, talent, and emotion. She didn't need protagonism to stand out. With minimal gestures and precise looks, she managed to move the audience with roles that would often go unnoticed in less experienced hands. She was the soul of countless stories. In recent years, even facing health problems, she participated in important productions, such as Beauty and Mr. Romantic, Tell Me That You Love Me, Calling Time, and even Squid Game, where her appearance moved viewers. She was a specialist in bringing to life mothers, grandmothers, and wise women, characters who carried the weight of time, pain, and affection. Her gaze was welcoming, and her voice comforting. Her death was deeply felt within and outside the industry. Various actors with whom she acted provided emotional tributes. Critics recognized her as a master of subtle acting, and fans, many of them already adults, remembered the many times she made them cry with just a line or a silence. Lee Juil was more than an actress. She was an emotional link between the public and the memory of good stories. Her absence will be felt for a long time, but her legacy will continue pulsing in every scene where she left her mark. Choi Jung Wu, one of the most recurring and beloved supporting actors on Korean television, passed away on May 27, 2025, at 68 years old. The exact cause of death was not officially disclosed, but press reports indicate that he suffered from a chronic condition and had been facing episodes of depression and panic disorders in recent years. His death caused a discreet commotion, just as his career was, silent, firm, and full of meaning. During more than 3 decades of work, Choi built a solid reputation, known behind the scenes for his work ethic, punctuality, and humility. He was the type of actor who, even without shining in the spotlights of stardom, carried on his shoulders the weight of essential characters. His presence was a seal of quality. With his striking face and contained voice, he brought to life paternal figures, mentors, cold villains, and corporate bosses with impressive naturalness. His filmography includes dramas that marked an era such as City Hunter, The Legend of the Blue Sea, The Tale of Lady OK, and Who Is She? Even in smaller projects, his name was synonymous with delivery. He was that face that gave comfort to the viewer. You knew that if Choi Jung Wu was in the cast, something good would come from there. The news of his departure brought about various tributes from directors and screenwriters who had worked with him. Many described Choi as one of Korea's most reliable actors, without vanity, without stardom, just with pure talent and total dedication. His passing is one of those losses that don't generate scandal, but that leave a huge void, the kind of absence that you only notice when you look for that firm gaze and realize it's no longer there. The year 2025 began with a sudden and painful loss, the passing of veteran actor Yun Hee on January 12th at 64 years old. The news fell like a bomb, mainly because he had no known health condition. Active, healthy, and still in full professional activity, Yun Hee was one of those artists who seemed to have energy to spare for many years of career. With a striking presence and versatile talent, he was known for his intense performances and for managing to transition between genres with mastery, from suspense to melodrama, from historical to modern. Throughout his career, he shined in titles such as Moving, Save Me Too, Money Heist, Korea, and the most recent Captivate a King, where he had one of the most praised performances of the supporting cast. Yun Hee was admired not only by the public, but also by professional colleagues. He was seen as a generous professional, always willing to help younger actors, offering advice and sharing behind-the-scenes experiences. His sudden death caught everyone by surprise. There was no time for goodbye, no clues, simply departed. The shock of the loss awakened a wave of tributes on social media. Various actors and actresses with whom he worked shared photos, memories, and emotional words. It was as if everyone felt they had lost a pillar, someone who, even without being the center of attention, sustained the environment with his experience and kindness. Yun Hee left a silent but powerful legacy. His face, his voice, and his talent will remain alive in the works he left behind. And for the public who followed him for so many years, his absence will be difficult to fill. Jong Suk passed away on June 4, 2025, at 29 years old, and his death was one of the most shocking among young Korean talents. Initially a model, he began his career in 2014 and quickly became one of the most requested faces by major Korean fashion brands. Tall, charismatic, and with a modern look, he drew attention wherever he went. But it was in 2022, when participating in the reality show The Skip Dating on TVN, that his name exploded among the young public. His participation in the program, alongside known figures like Jong Suk and Jong Suk, made him beloved by a new generation of fans. Taking advantage of the success, he made appearances in dramas such as My Roommate is a Gumiho, Still, and Twinkling Watermelon. Although he was still in his first steps as an actor, he already demonstrated potential to grow in the industry, especially in young and urban roles. But behind his easy smile, Jong Suk faced a personal storm. According to reports from family and close friends, he had been the victim of a financial scam that left him in debt. This, combined with professional instability and the pressure of public life, put him in a fragile emotional state. His sudden death generated numerous speculations, but the family asked for privacy and respect, revealing that he had been facing a severe depression. The wake was held privately at the Chuncheon Rest Center. Fans left flowers, letters, and messages on social media, lamenting not only the loss of an artist, but of a young man who still had much ahead of him. Korea said goodbye to a promising face that the world barely had time to know. Another reminder that, behind the cameras, life can be more fragile than it seems. On June 20th, 2025, actress Seo Yi, also known by her real name Song Soo-yeon, left us at 43 years old. The news was shared by her manager in an emotional Instagram post. My brilliant, beautiful, and good sister became a star in the sky. Without official details about the cause of death, the news quickly generated commotion among fans and industry colleagues, who reacted with sadness and disbelief. Despite not being among the most commercial names in Korean dramaturgy, Seo Yi was extremely respected in the artistic community for her emotional delivery, her scenic sensitivity, and her dedication to the craft. Her gaze carried a delicate melancholy, and she was a specialist in bringing to life complex characters, often marked by suffering, depth, and inner strength. Among her most notable works are the dramas Cheongdam-dong Scandal, City of the Sun, and, more recently, Insurance Against Divorce, a romantic comedy with touches of social criticism, where she had a discreet but impactful performance. Although she wasn't part of major blockbusters, she was always praised by critics for her authenticity and for managing to express much with little. The actress's agency confirmed the death in early July without going into details, but media outlets raised the possibility that mental health-related problems were involved. Colleagues and fans, for the most part, respected the silence and chose to honor Seo Yi with affectionate messages and memories of her work. Her farewell was silent but deeply felt. She may not have been a star with constant spotlights, but she was the type of artist who left a silent mark, like a scene that makes you cry without knowing why. Korea lost a delicate, intense, and true actress, and the public lost a soul who, even in small roles, caused great damage to the hearts of those who watched.